let's just sew whatever. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are making the clear version of the Rosie Sling from Knotted Threads Co. I had so much fun making this, and cutting it out was super quick. Sewing it took a little bit longer, but obviously that's the case. So it's got a slip pocket inside, and you can see the accent and rivets. We finished it with binding. We've got our strap here. It can go on either side, and then it's got that big pocket in the front to hold your phone, whatever else you need. But this is such a good size backpack, sling, carry-all, without it being way too big and bulky. So I hope you'll enjoy making it with me. Let's get started on making the clear Rosie from Knotted Threads Co. I've got my zipper tape picked out. Super excited to use this. This is our mixed, I believe it's mixed berry on my website. I forgot to grab zipper pulls. That's my bad. So I'm just cutting a little bit extra than I need of the zipper tape, but you only need one zipper and 2 pulls. I'm gonna go with classic pop tab pulls. If I have rainbow, I have rainbow. Oh, I got less of rainbow. Cool. Good, good, good. I am using a pre-made binding. This is the waterproof neon raspberry, strawberry, neon, something neon. Got my front pocket piece here. I'm gonna try to start at the beginning of the pattern. It jumps in instructions, but it's still pretty clear to follow. Basically, we want to start with the darts. Dang it. I didn't want to. I wanted to start with like the simple stuff. Oh, I need to pick a thread because this is not the one I want. It's really pretty, but I want a more like subdued purple fairy floss. Probably gonna use fairy floss. Like, it's just so subtle. Fairy floss is the answer. I have like 3 fairy floss bobbins made. If you don't know what fairy floss is, I'm sorry. This is like the perfect pastel variegated thread. This is Tex 80 from geekyhardware.com. Alrighty. As I was saying, start with the darts. Front pocket, middle panel, and our front panel trim. Those are going to be the main things we need right now. I'm going to flip this over. Line up our pattern piece. Oh yeah, I don't have a pen refill right here. Oh, that's okay. It'll be okay. Set that aside for now. And then we're going to clip these together, lining up all those layers. And you're going to sew on the line. And we're going to trim that down so that's about 1/4 of an inch and set that flat. Okay. And then in the instructions it says for clear, skip to step 12, and then it's a little button you can click. So super helpful if you're looking at it on your phone. Okay, so we want it smaller at the tip, wider at the base. Press that open. It's just the cutest little dart. Oh, nameplate. Okay, right sides together. Your seams should be on the wrong side of your fabric. And this one we're like barely even gonna trim. So that kind of sit flat. Technically, I could put my name plate or like a little name underneath here. I'm gonna make a little mark, find my center, make a little mark at the bottom. I'm just gonna do a teeny little snip and see where I want to add nameplate. Is that silly? It's probably silly to do it down in there because you're not gonna see it. But I mean, that's kind of fun. I have this last one from Heartwood and Hide that I think will look pretty. So I'm gonna add some tape to it. I'm gonna line that up, centered against the bottom here. And then before I stitch that down, yeah, that looks pretty perfect. Just yeah. Okay, so we're gonna tie together what I started with. Because I already pulled my thread to the back. And then pull your ending thread to the back. And you can't really tape this since it's clear, single layer. So just make sure that you've tied it really well. You could add a dab of glue. I don't think that would be a problem. Just make sure that you singe your threads and let your glue dry before you continue on with the bag. And then make sure you're not melting your threads so much that you lose your knot. So there's a fine line, but I think I did pretty good. All right, so now we can add that top trim. It was under a layer and I couldn't see it. Okay, we're gonna kind of stretch. We're just gonna kind of manipulate this curve so it's sitting just under that line. We're gonna peel the tape off and kind of stretch this so it sits flat. And the tension you're adding to this piece helps create the curved front pocket. Folding that over, and then this is clear, so it's actually really helpful to be able to see your other piece. Okay, and we'll stitch just on top of that. And then I'm trimming just a teeny tiny little bit of that overlay. Good. Okay. This is my middle panel now. So we're gonna line up that center mark down at the bottom. Clip, clip. I like to get 3 pieces together, or 3 snips, nope, 3 clips down at the bottom. And then this piece here, your top accent should line up just like right next to it, next to that center line or so. And then we're gonna stretch and clip these layers together. Clipping so that that seam sits flat. And lining up those side edges. And if you need to, you can move that over by just a little bit. Yeah. So I'll keep reading, but okay, it should sit about 3/8 of an inch to the center. So I can move that over just a little bit, so that that all sits a little bit nicer. Yeah. Okay. So pretty. Wait, did I already make an all clear one? No, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I did. I'm going really slow, making sure my layers are lined up. I'm glad I used a glitter so that I can actually see. Instead of a clear. So I know that everything is together. That is it for that front piece. You can push out those corners. It's so pretty. Okay. Oh, I'll set that there for now. All right, so we'll move on to our connector here. I've already marked and taped. I did not interface. I just don't think the clear with like how thin my materials are need the structure. Maybe I'll regret that, maybe. So we'll grab our rectangle ring. And we'll top stitch this all together. And then I just snipped at the center. We're gonna attach this to the back. If one side is prettier, that you want it to be shown in the front, you're gonna set that face up so when it flips up, that's what you see. I didn't mark my centers from my pattern piece. And this goes to the top center. Okay. And then this is interesting to me. She shows the slip pocket already attached before she does the D-ring anchor, but the instructions have it kind of the other way, which is not a big deal, just something I wanted to note. So I'm gonna do my slip pocket first and then add the D-ring anchor, just because I think it'll be easier to place. And I was skimming through the instructions, so it's very possible she says do this first and then do this. So I apologize if I misread. So I'm adding my trim. I'm placing my clear vinyl just under that marked line and then folding this to meet. You can add a woven label here if you want. I'm tempted to keep this. I just don't know if I'll use this. So I'm like, pop this in there. I just don't know that you'll see it. But these are from Sarah Hart's premium woven labels. They say made by me. And they look like a little friendship bracelet. So cute. All right, so we're gonna start and end with a nice little back stitch. And then she has you add rivets. I don't know if I want to add rivets because you'll see them. It'd still be pretty though. But this is going to go on the lining side, and this is going to get placed 2 1/4 up from the bottom center. And she mentions if you use a print to face it so that the back side of both is facing up so you don't see like the white side showing from the back, which is a really good tip. But because I'm just using a clear glitter, it's not an issue. And then we're going to hold our threads to start so we don't get any ugly nesting. Hopefully nothing shifted. And we're going to go nice and slow, pivoting in that corner to create that gorgeous little mitered corner shape. And these materials do end up wanting to stick to your machine, so I'm not applying a lot of pressure. You can also use like receipt paper, tissue paper, tearaway stabilizer. I just hate to think of that being stuck in your stitches if you end up using a small stitch. You may just need to increase your tension. I've seen that a lot. But then again, some machines just don't like clear. Okay. Pulling threads to the back or the inside of this pocket, if it'll let me. Oh, it's so cute. All right, trusting Shannon here. I am gonna add rivets, and that goes about 1/4 of an inch in the corner. Kind of centered there. So I'm making a little 1/4 inch square, and where that ruler sits is where I'm making a dot to make a little hole for my rivet. Oh. So I'm grabbing a cap and a post. If you have something smaller than 9 by 9, it's probably better suited for this spot, but it'll crunch down, so it's not that serious. Okay, I do see the benefit. I mean, not that I was doubting it, but being that this is clear vinyl, it's going to be kind of sticky. And so if you don't have this rivet, your stitches could pull out over time because you're going to be like pulling that apart. The printing on the back side of the TPU does help to give it some like slick, like so it's not sticky, it's a little more slick. right, so I'm just setting this rivet really quick, making sure to press firmly but not too much. And make sure that you give it a nice even pressure so that your rivets don't slip. All right, so now that that's in place, I'm gonna go back to working on the D-ring connector. Okay. I do have the instructions right next to me, since I've not made it this particular way before. Okay, she does have it stitched at the 3/8. I was like, wait a minute, do I not stitch this? Because I want to. You do. Okay, good. All right, so 3/8. Just so pretty. I love it so far. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we're gonna be making marks, some in. This is on the wrong side, BT dubs. And then we're gonna grab a 1/4 inch wide double-sided tape down the center. Okay. And then we've got triangle rings or D-rings, whatever you like. And then we're gonna fold the raw edges to meet the marked line. And I'm overlapping that line just slightly because I don't want you to see it from the inside edge of the bag. And you can use triangle rings or D-rings, whichever you prefer. Okay, 3/4 of an inch. We're gonna make a little mark. Do you work? Yes, you do. Okay, all right, dang, sorry. Okay, 3/4 of an inch. And that's where we're gonna like start and stop and throw it on the ground. Just throw it on the ground, it's fine. That way we're overlapping the back of that and catching it well enough. We've already got some tape on there, so we don't need to add more, but you can, so that your back side of this stays in place. But you don't want to add that past your stitching line by much, just because you don't want to see the tape later. All right, and then this is going to get placed 1 1/4 up. And it sits like right under the slip pocket, which is really satisfying. Yes, that's nice. Okay. Alrighty. For some reason, things are looking a little crooked, but it could be the print too. Oh good, my 3/4 inch lines are gone. Should have known. It's such a glossy vinyl, so it's understandable. All right, we're gonna start here, work our way over. Okay, finished that, pulling my threads to the back and tying it off. Come on. And again, I'll snip it. And then again, melt it just enough that you're not singeing away. And then if you want to add a rivet, you can. I'm gonna. Let's see where she says to. I think she has you add your rivet, yeah, just outside your stitching line. So this is like the first line of defense, right in between your 3/8 inch. Top stitching. And then since this is a somewhat stretchy substrate, you can add a stabilizer underneath just to help prevent your rivet from eventually someday maybe popping through, but we should be good. Okay. So cute. It does feel crooked somehow, but I think in the end it won't matter. I'm gonna turn my triangle rings in for now because we're gonna have to put it all together in a little bit. We're gonna work on our zipper panel or slip pocket, whichever is next for you. Okay. This is for later. We don't need this till the very end. Cut a little strip. My binding. The only edge that would fray is the short edge that you cut. And then I'm just adding this as like a little teeny tiny bit of reinforcement for later. I'm just getting this out of the way for now just because it's in this pile in front of me and I'm like, stop, go away. So I'm just gonna clip that together for now. Set it aside. All right, gusset pieces, zipper tape. Gonna add my zipper pulls. You wanna make sure when you add your zipper pulls, there's no bunching or bubbling. I've marked out my centers. I cut out my binding for the zipper gusset. I went ahead and cut my webbing to 52 inches. This webbing I'm using is from Fabric Therapy. I thought the colors in it were really fun and matched really well. So I'll set that aside. So right now we just need our zipper panels, our gussets. So we want to find where our zipper gets attached. And I'm a little conflicted because you're supposed to snip into the curves after you peel away double-sided tape and such. And so I'm like, what if I carefully cut? Because the biggest thing is you don't want to take away. So I'm thinking if I cut this curved area with my pinking shears now, then maybe we'll be okay. I don't want to lose my center snip, and I probably should have done that over a trash can. It's fine. Because I don't want to have to peel up my double-sided tape and stuff like that. But if Shannon watches this, she'll probably be just shaking her head like, no, it's not what I told you to do. Why don't you trust me? You continue to not trust me. It's not that I don't trust you. I don't trust anybody. All right, so we're gonna line up the center of our zipper with our center marking. And again, just triple check that you have your zipper panel in the right spot. Lining up the center, and then we're just gonna kind of stretch gently to fit that in place. Right sides are together. And I'm gonna go right in between 3/8 and 1/4. And then you can top stitch this now, or add the other side and then kind of top stitch all at once. I'm gonna go ahead and top stitch now, flattening that down. And you can peel off your double-sided tape if you don't want to see it. I don't really see it though. And then we'll probably end up adding 2 rows of stitches. So that way your zipper tape isn't like strangely loose. So that's what's recommended in the pattern. And then again, find where we're attaching. Got my little mark here. And I'm just snipping along the curve slightly. I don't really think that's doing much, but I can pretend, right? All right, and then we're gonna peel that up. I've got my center marked, and I've got my center marked on my zipper. And again, stretching that gently, not like really pulling and stretching, just a gentle pressure in the right direction. This printed zipper tape is a little silkier than my normal zipper tape, so it's not quite as structured as I'd like. And I think I'm gonna go closer. Well, I'm sticking to about the 3/8 to 1/4 seam allowance. Right in between, I should say. Be consistent with whichever one you choose. And then right sides should have been together. And then we'll top stitch at 1/8 and 1/4. And then if you decided to add your zipper pulls first, just make sure they don't come off. Okay, zipper pulls attached. All right, right sides together for our gusset and our zipper panel. It's off by a smidge, probably because I needed to stick closer to a 1/4 inch. Baste it at 1/4. Place your binding right sides together with the basted seam and sew on the binding using 3/8. Definitely want to trim the zipper tape, and then I am going to use my lighter. Press that down and top stitch through. But let the binding sit on itself. And what that binding does as well is it's providing some structure to that seam. So we'll repeat that on the other side, centering. Okay, 3, baste it at 1/4. Trim my zipper tape excess. And you can, I generally like to use double-sided tape to help me hold binding in place, but this is such a small strip that I don't think it's too hard. Okay, so it's attached at 3/8. Make sure you catch it both sides, and then press that down. All right, now I'm going to triple check that nothing twisted. No, we're good. Okay. All right. So now we can line up those pieces to kind of clip out our centers. The bag is bigger in the back, so that's why that zipper panel is created the way it is. So the front is a little bit smaller. All right, then we're going to put everything together. You can start with the front or the back. I don't think it super matters. Maybe it does. All right, so she starts with the front. Okay, I can do that. Okay, it's bigger in the back. She starts with the front. Oh, Lord, I can do this. Front. Teeny, teeny, tiny little snips. Just to make everything fit together on the gusset. And then we're getting up to the gusset at the top here, and again, just little snips to make everything just sit a little bit better. Part of me is like, sew that together first, but we're gonna maneuver it all. And you really want to take your time with this. Like, this is the front of the bag. You don't want it to be bad and not good. That's it. That's all I got. And then you don't want to over snip your curves because then things could be too big. It is a very fine line. So I'm gonna sew this together at 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm gonna add my binding at 3/8. And I'm gonna do one side at a time. Alrighty. And then anything extra sticking out of your seam allowance, you want to trim that down now. And I'm going to grab my binding. There's so many different binding methods, so use whichever you prefer. But this one is my preference. Take my binding, you can use 1/2 inch. I like 3/4 inch wide tape for this, and I will center it along the back side of the binding. You can also use pre-made bias binding, and that's going to be just perfectly fine too. And then pick a place to start. I start over here, kind of just under this area, and then I'm folding it around centered. Which is a lot easier to do when it's clear, but I mostly just eyeball it, and I'm pinching it around the curve. And it's sticking pretty well, but you can also use clips to help keep it from moving. And like, this binding really is thin, but it's still gonna add a decent amount of structure. So I'm not worried about this not being domestic friendly, honestly. So far, everything's been pretty easy. The only thing, like I mentioned earlier, is that you might run into some tension issues. Okay, so we're getting back to where we started. And what I like to do is just fold that end under. And as I get back here, I'll try to make sure that I line that up as best as I can. And then we'll sew that down, baste it down, nope, just top stitch it down at 3/8 of an inch. And then this is where I like to use my screwdriver to help me press anything back into place. It's kind of moved around. Okay, and we caught it all the way around. I shouldn't do this, but I want to see it. I love the hot pink at the seam. It just really sets it off. Okay, don't, just keep going. It still feels like it has a good amount of structure too. Alrighty. So I'm adding 3 clips to the top along the connector. I'm going to add some clips along the bottom. If you want to, you can add a couple basting stitches here. You could just do like one quick little line at 1/8 of an inch. It's going to be hidden in your binding anyway, because this is a lot to try to maneuver. And then we'll just add some snips along the curve. And the way I like to do this is I will press it. I'm pushing that curve into itself over the corner of my table so that I can get my clip in easier. Okay, so I've made it to the top of the bag. Somehow I did not snip up here. But I did snip it on this side. Okay. I feel like if you needed to, you could use some double-sided tape along this seam. Shannon mentions using a stapler can be extremely effective here as well. And I have definitely been a fan of the stapler method in some cases. I haven't used it recently, I don't know why. Oh yeah, I don't sew that much. I should say I don't get to sew that much. Okay. Last little curve here. Pinch all those together. One last spot. And you really want to make sure those edges stay. Ooh, that's a new one. Ooh, hard to open. Okay. Find a good place to start. 1/4 of an inch is what I'm doing first. All the way around. And I can still use my screwdriver here to help me flatten out those curves and kind of pull the layers together. Trimming that excess. I've got a little bit my gusset area up here at the top, little dog ears there. Okay. Taking my lighter to just the extra threads I see and my binding where I cut it just one more time. Oh, I think I'll take it up there too. Okay. Oh my gosh, we're almost done. So exciting. So, okay, I've got that just a little bit below there. And we're just repeating, wrapping that binding. Neon strawberry? Is that what we called this? Binding? Maybe. And now we're back to where we started. Peel that extra tape off, fold this under, and line that up just as best as we can. And then 3/8 of an inch all the way around. So excited. Okay, 3/8. I didn't fully clip my binding into place, so it didn't shift, it just looks a little funky. So we can turn this. If your layers are a little stiff, you can blow it with a blow dryer really quick, but it's a big enough zipper opening that it's not too bad. But the blow dryer will help with any wrinkles. Oh, it looks so good. It's kind of a lot of colors, but they all work together really well. I'm pressing the binding into the seam to help with the structure of the bag. Looks really good. And you could even like clip parts of it together to help train the bag. But we're going to work on the strap. All right, so imagine that this is your other snap hook. We're gonna start with our slide adjuster. I'm using a Slim slide adjuster. And you could even wrap some extra vinyl around your webbing to make sure it doesn't slip and slide around, but that's also going to depend on the webbing you're using. If you need maybe something a little thicker or thinner. Okay, so this is our other snap hook. We're going to go under and over the slider here. And then this is our final snap hook. And you can use quite a bit of glue or double-sided tape to help you keep this in place while we sew around. This is going to get lined up about as far as you can, and then line this up as well. So if you're going to edge paint, I would edge paint first and then do another coat around the edges, maybe would be good. But that would complete your Rosie sling after you sew that in place. I love it so much. Alrighty, that is it for the Rosie tutorial. I hope you enjoyed making the clear version with me. It turned out so cute. I love that the binding being the, like, bright hot pink is almost like boning of a corset that like stands out. It's really fun. And I can't wait to see if you make one too. Thanks so much. Bye.